It's live. Welcome to the HR Happy Hour Work Break. You are here with Trish and Steve. Hey, Steve Bose.
Hey, Trish McFarland. Happy Monday. Taking an early break today. It's kind of cool.
Right?
Mix it up a little bit. Sure.
We are. You know what? I was telling you, I said, I think we need to do it early because we've had a busy day. Not that we're not busy other days, but today it's just on a Monday. It's like back to back meetings. I feel like I actually, I have a new air fryer. Do you have an air fryer? Are you an air fryer guy?
I am not, nor I'm not. I'm not.
Well, I bought one from Pampered Chef and I'm having a party in February. So if you or anybody else needs an air fryer, I'm your girl. Anyway, I found out on TikTok actually that you can take the little Uncrustable sandwiches, pop them frozen into the air fryer for 4 minutes, full of deliciousness, toasted deliciousness. So I made my air fryer little sandwich and was so busy we didn't even have time for me to eat it. So
that's
anyway,
it's trouble when you don't have time to eat like a little Uncrustable, which is about this big, maybe, right? It takes about 4 seconds to eat.
I know. Yeah. But so that's how busy it's been. So anyway, I'm glad everyone is joining us for today's episode. We've been busy because we just got off the phone actually with Steve Miranda from Oracle.
Yes,
right?
we did.
Hearing the quarterly update from them. Things are going well. Sounds like.
Yeah, the thing that stood out to me, I won't name any specifics or anything like that, but just lots and lots of companies still progressing with their big software implementations, despite the COVID, despite all the problems in the workplace, and hundreds of companies going live at the end of the year kind of thing, which is also pretty common for HR and payroll systems as well. They're very often tied to the calendar year. For payroll purposes especially, makes it a lot easier, but it's good to hear, that lots of those projects are continued on and were successful.
Yeah, they had a lot of financials too, it sounded like, as well. Lots of people doing that, and just the ERP in general. So it was interesting. One of the things he said is he attributed it to some fewer interruptions, which I know you've worked for Oracle in the past and been on the other side of it. And I've been a customer of Oracle in the past. And trying to do those things when you have so many distractions in the workplace. I'm sitting there in my head when he said that, and I thought, oh, that's probably true, right? If you're the HR team that's having to do that implementation, you're having fewer, think about this, it just never hit me. You're having fewer employee relations issues, right? That used to be a ton of my time in HR.
Likely fewer, I would guess. I wonder if there's some data on that. I wonder who would have that data. That'd be interesting to look at. I believe intuitively that sounds right to me.
Yeah.
The other
when
thing,
he said that, that's what I thought of. I thought I've just never thought of that in this last year.
It's interesting how things have changed. So I was listening to the radio over the weekend, and it was a news program, an interview, and I had an interview with an ICU, an emergency room doctor from some big city hospital. Doesn't matter who. And he was talking about how no one's getting the flu, the normal flu. He said it's just not showing up in his hospital. Normally at this time of a normal flu season, he'd have 15 or 20 people either in critical care or intensive care with the flu. And there was he had zero patients for the flu. Isn't that
crazy?
Right, we're all wearing the masks, right, to try to not get COVID. And meanwhile, no one's passing the flu. I would say no one. That's not really fair, but it's an unexpected benefit, I guess, if you could find a benefit.
I think you're right. I think there are just other things. It's in general. I mean, that worries me a little, not about the flu, but just in general that we're not necessarily going to have good immunity toward maybe some of the other less threatening things, right? But we are wearing masks and it's certainly paying off. So that's good. Hey, I know you've always got a ton of things, but I was going to ask you two things. First of all, I wanted to point out to you that Oscar Mayer is hiring to drive the Wienermobile. So whether you or anyone else listening is interested in that, you can actually, it's a gig lasting from June of 2021 through June of 2022.
I'm in. I'm applying. I'm signing up for this.
You get 2 weeks of training. Deadline to apply is the 31st of this month. So if you want to be one of the Oscar Mayer, they call them hot doggers.
I was going to say, I'm aware of this. I knew about their hot doggers. Right. That's a cool title.
Right.
I might be into this. This could be a good way to spend a year.
I'm just saying, hey, there's a lot of layoffs.
I'm a hot dog eater. I mean, I'm a hot dog person all the way. So we should have a real intense debate some other day about what's the best hot dog, because I've gotten into real serious verbal arguments over the years about the best sort of commercially available mainstream
I
hot
think
dog.
you're right, and I'll fight you on that. We can do that at a later show on our hot dog podcast. But yeah, at one point, I forget the brand you told me you swore by, and I went and bought it, and they were disgusting. Ugh.
Well, I'm certain
Really
you're
gross.
wrong about that, but okay. So we can
Anyway.
talk about that.
My other one I wanted to ask you if you had heard about. Do you remember the Around the World in 80 Days?
The book, I've heard of it.
Yes. Well, anyway, back in this day in 1890 was when famous Nellie Bly went around the world in 72 days.
Right.
First woman to do it. So
Good for her.
see there?
Wow. In a balloon? Was it the balloon deal? Like the was in the book?
No, all different modes of transportation. Some boats, ships, trains. There were other people like trying to race to do this.
Yeah.
Men and women actually that were out at the same time, and she finished first to prove that you could actually go around the world. Back then, I mean, that's a pretty big deal in the late 1800s. But just think about how far we've come. You can literally fly around the world.
I was thinking about it the other way and thinking there are still people roaming around free out there who think the Earth is flat. There's still some of them around. So I'm thinking about how far we haven't come. Maybe I'm looking at it a little bit more disappointed.
I'm an eternal optimist. Do
you think people back in 1890 like walked around and looked at each other and said like, "Man, this is a really long time ago"? Like they must have said that, right? That must have occurred to them.
No.
Trish, I have
what do you got?
I have an item for you. Trish,
okay.
Godzilla vs. Kong, new movies coming out soon. It's on like the HBO Max, I guess in theaters too. Godzilla vs. Kong. I'm a monster movie fan. I have a question and then a little story. Trish, Godzilla vs. Kong, King Kong I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Who you got?
King Kong.
King Kong?
And I'm also going to go out on a limb and say don't watch any movie other than the 1970s version. It's the best.
Godzilla can breathe fire. I'm taking Godzilla in the matchup. So we'll see who's right about that. So I want to tell you my quick
Do I have to watch the movie?
Yeah, we're gonna have to watch that movie. So
okay.
I went to Tokyo a couple years ago. I've only been there once and only had a couple of days.
It may only be once in your life now.
I was there for business and we had an extra day or whatever. So I just doing the tourist deal, right? Got on one of those bus tours of the city, double-decker bus deal, right?
Oh,
whatever.
really?
I don't know if it's double-decker. Doesn't matter, right? Drive around, see the sights, learn a little bit of the history, guided tour, guy doing the announcing. He was Japanese man doing the announcing in English. I was sitting right up front by him. And then towards the end of it, he finally says, any questions? And no one asks questions, right? On those kinds of tours, right? There are people from all over the world. And I felt bad for the guy. Like no one was asking him questions like the whole, 3 hours we were on the bus. So finally at the end, it's the last chance to ask a question. So I raised my hand and he says, yes. And I said, in what year did Godzilla destroy the city?
No, you did not.
I did. And he's like, what? I'm like, Godzilla destroyed the city? What year was that? I'm kidding. Then I had to try to. He never understood the question. He never understood that I was kidding. Never said anything. There were a couple of other Americans on board. I think they thought it was funny, but I thought
that
it was funny.
Poor man. Well, listen. On that happy note, let's take off for today.
Quick shout out, Trish. We did wanted to shout out real quick. We did spend some time with some new friends we met from BetterWorks today. Showed us around their platform, their OKR platform, and their performance enablement platform. It's pretty cool. Really cool solution. Just want to shout out to them because they did spend a little bit of time with us today, and it was fun. So shout out to them.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that here. I meant to mention that at the beginning, and then we just got to talking and didn't. But yeah, they were really interesting. I did not know enough about them, so definitely check them out. It was really impressive too. I think it's interesting when you talk about like a company like that who can really hone in and service customers with like a employee base of like 1,000 and less, right? And be their sole provider. And then whenever you can talk about large enterprises that they work with who are using them in conjunction with other providers, so it's kind of a really interesting place to be. They can really kind of straddle those two pretty well. So anyway, thanks to them, obviously, for their time today. That was really good. All right. Well, good. Well, listen, I think we're about at the 10-minute mark. So thanks everyone for listening. As always, thanks for joining us on a Monday, and check back here with us tomorrow. We'll probably be back closer to the end of the day like normal. But anyway, hope to catch you all here. Have a good day.